Good morning and welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. I'm Worship Associate Sue Brinkmeyer, and I am joined in facilitating this service today by Worship Associate and Gonger, Xenia Young. With our minister, the Reverend Dana Worsnop, away from the pulpit today, we are pleased to welcome to our pulpit the Reverend Joe Green, who currently serves the UU Congregation of Santa Clarita Valley as affiliate minister. Reverend Joe came to ministry as a third career after years teaching art to seventh graders, brave woman, and then working in the corporate world. She graduated from Starr King School of the Ministry with a Master of Divinity degree and completed her internship and residency at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, where she was also ordained. She completed her chaplaincy residency at a health center in Pennsylvania and says she is grateful she had this opportunity as she feels pastoral care is an integral part of ministry. Having served 5 different congregations, she is now semi-retired, though she seems awfully busy to me, as she not only serves as the affiliate minister at the Santa Clarita Valley congregation, but is also acquiring her facilitator certificate with the Alternatives to Violence Project. Well done, Joe. We are so pleased you are with us today. And no matter how you are joining us today, the magic of technology or here in person, whether you strolled, walked, rolled, danced in, we are so pleased you are here. We are a community of many beliefs, identities, origins, sexualities, and genders. All are welcome here. We preface service by acknowledging that our building rests on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Chumash people. May we cherish our connections to this land and to all of its peoples. We thank those of you sitting in the section by the windows for wearing masks so that those who are most comfortable with others wear masks may be there. As we focus today on the many ways we are linked to one another in this community, in this faith, in this world, I want to highlight our new ride-sharing program. You can sign up to give rides or ask for rides via a link in our email bulletin, UUCV This Week, or contact Mark Mendelson. Sign up to save the planet, build community, or help a friend. And here are some ways to connect with UUs from around our region. You can register and attend the Pacific Southwest Service Area Assembly right here at UUCV on April 26 to 28, or go to Camp de Benneville in the San Bernardino Mountains for the UU Men's Fellowship Spring Renewal, April 19 to 21, or Family Camp, July 21 to 27. Finally, you can help us all connect through art. Our Green Room Art Gallery is changing up its exhibits on April 21. If you are a creative artist, we would love to display your art. You can get an application at the welcome table in Berg Hall or via the link in next week's UUCV This Week, or you can contact Celia Ortenberg, and she will be very happy to help you. Art must be delivered to the gallery on Sunday, April 21, and will be picked up on a Sunday in July. If you have questions, just ask Celia. Details of these and all the other wonderful things that happen here at UUCV are in our weekly email bulletin, UUCV This Week. Now, bring what is yours, a burdened heart, a joyous song, a wearied spirit, a seeking mind, and let us enter sacred space.
I am Worship Associate Xenia Young, and we invite those who are on Zoom or streaming into this service to light a chalice or a candle at home while Sue lights the chalice of our free faith here in the sanctuary. Our call to worship this morning comes from Albert Einstein. A human being is part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. We experience ourselves, our thoughts and feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of our consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for those only closest and nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Carolyn Bierke, the music director, and I want to welcome you all here in the sanctuary and online. Our opening hymn is Here We Have Gathered. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing.
Good morning. My name is Lily Rappaport, the acting director of Family Ministry, and I'd like to call up all those young or young at heart to come join me in front here as we listen to the story. So today's story is called The Whole World Inside Nan's Soup, and it's written by Hunter Ligori and illustrated by Vicky Zan. Seeds, said Nanny when I asked her what was inside the metal pot she was stirring on the stove. It was the same one handed down from her nanny, and it smelled so good I couldn't wait to taste it. Seeds? I asked. How could seeds be inside the pot? Seeds that grew up to be vegetables, Nanny said, smiling. Also, there are gardeners in the pot. Gardeners? Nanny, how could gardeners be inside the pot? Gardeners, with their gentle hands, planted the seeds that grew up to be vegetables and ended up inside this pot. Nanny winked. Soil and rain are also in the pot. Soil and rain, Nanny? Yes, see them here, Nanny nodded, stirring. In order for the seeds to grow, they would need to be placed in the soil by the gardeners with their gentle hands, and then watered by the rain before they grew up to be vegetables into the pot for soup. I stood on my tiptoes to see. We also have the sun, the moon, and the stars inside the pot. The sun, the moon, and the stars, Nanny? How could they possibly be in the pot? Without the sun, the moon, and the stars, the seeds that were planted in the soil by the gardeners with their gentle hands and then watered by the rain wouldn't grow. So they are in the pot too. Nanny put her ear to the pot. Listen, do you hear that? It sounds like a honeybee, I said, listening. That's right. The bees pollinate the flowers that grow up to be vegetables planted by the gardeners with their gentle hands. So they are in the pot too. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Do you hear the bees? Can I see what else is in that pot, Nanny? Oh, yes, there's plenty more. Nanny's eyes twinkled and widened as she stirred the soup. Like the farm workers who pick the vegetables with care. They're smiling as they watch over the fields under the warm sun. They make footprints in the rich soil, carrying boxes full of vegetables to the delivery trucks, the boats, and the trains. And then what, Nan? There are delivery drivers eager to take those vegetables from the farm to the market. I also see the merchants who greet the trucks, boats, and trains. They work in teams to bring the baskets of farm vegetables to the market. People gathered curiously to see what they've brought. I guess that's about anything, Nanny. Nanny looked again. I see a bus. A bus, Nan? How could there be a bus inside the pot? Not just a bus, but also the bus driver and all the people who joined me on the way to the market and home again. Nanny, are there roads in that pot? You bet there are. Nanny's eyes grew bigger. Roads and highways, plus traffic lights, bridges and waterways, and the neighborhoods that we pass on the way to the market. And don't forget the electricity that keeps the lights on and the towns running. Wow, Nan, I can't believe that's all inside the pot. Anything else? Nanny thought some more, smiling bigger than ever. What, Nanny? What else do you see inside the pot? Love. Love is inside the pot, Nanny? That's right. The love of my own nanny, who taught me this recipe and taught the recipe to my mother, who then taught it to me. One special recipe passed down from generation to generation, beginning with the first nanny, just so I could make the soup and share it with you. Will you teach me the recipe, Nanny? Nanny said. You'll have to remember everything that's inside the pot. But I already do. Nanny looked at me. What's inside the pot? The whole world. Indeed. So let's enjoy this pot of the whole world carrying us through and nourishing us through the day, and rise in the center aisle here and form a bridge of love so our children will go to their RE classes.
Each Sunday, this congregation furthers our connections to one another and to others outside our walls by giving away our collection to an organization that helps folks here in our church or in the larger community. Those at home can give through the link posted in the chat or by texting to the number on the screen. Folks here in the sanctuary can also text to give or drop cash or a check in the basket at the back of the sanctuary after the service. Our offering today goes to our own Lift Up Your Voice to End Homelessness Moving In ministry to provide the furniture and household goods that turn an empty apartment into a true home for people moving out of homelessness and into their very own apartment at last. Our amazing volunteers, some of whom are pictured here, recently helped Beatrice, a single mom with 6 children. She was a victim of domestic violence, and she and her 6 children had been staying all together in a single motel room. Last week, they were able to move into a place big enough for all of them, a place that will keep them all safe. Not only did moving in provide all of the furniture and household goods they needed for 3 bedrooms and a 2-bath home, but our volunteers also helped them with the move-in process and got it all set up as well. When group leader Kathy Powell, when group leader Kathy Powell asked Beatrice if it would be okay to share her story, Beatrice readily agreed, as long as we added that she is grateful God blessed her family with the many wonderful moving in volunteers and supporters. Supporters, that's you. Thank you for giving generously, as you always do. blessed we are. We are so grateful for the generosity of this congregation and for the many talents among us. That generosity is a key ingredient in the interconnected tapestry of love we weave together.
When we come together each week, we honor and deepen our connections by sharing one another some of the joys and sorrows that touch all of our lives. We place a stone in water as each one is shared, and the ripples that go out represent the way that something that touches the heart of one of us touches the heart of all of us. You can submit a joy or sorrow for sharing via a link on the website, uuventura.org, or a link in our Thursday email bulletin, UUCV This Week. Those received by 8 p.m. on Saturday will be shared that Sunday. We have 3 joys and sorrows this week, and the first is both a joy and sorrow from Julie Moore. I'm grieving the loss to diabetes of my 12-year-old kitty Vienna, who was rescued by Jenna Peterson and given to me. I've just adopted another kitty who spent 2 weeks in the back of a closet. Then suddenly, a cannonball, black and white and fuzzier all over, rocketed into my house, thundering across wood floors, speaking in high squeaks, more like a mouse than a cat. She's a bundle of affection, love, and joy. Welcome, Aida. And this too is both a joy and a sorrow from Brian Buck. Under the heading of joyful adversity, last Tuesday, while hiking with Aaron Merrill and Mike Sixby on the Fox Canyon Trail above Ojai, I was bitten by a large rattlesnake. Fortunately, it was a dry bite, one without venom. I want to thank my 2 hiking companions for their calm and swift actions to render assistance and bring emergency aid. It could have been a much worse outcome, and it was a great hiking adventure. And the last is a joy from Janice Dallas. On March 26th, we celebrated Ron's 80th birthday. Our younger son, Jonathan, was visiting from Massachusetts at the time. It was so nice celebrating with him. I invite you now to speak into the gathered community or write on the Zoom chat the names of those that you wish to celebrate or memorialize, or those in need of the loving embrace from this beloved community. Sue will now place one final stone in the water for all the joys and sorrows yet unspoken in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be truly grateful for all that is our lives.
Please remain seated as we sing "We Are Not Our Own." We are not our own, earth's
We share this reading in two voices from George E. Odell.
We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted.
We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid.
We need one another when we are in despair or temptation and need to be recalled to our best selves again.
We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone.
We need one another in the hour of success when we look for someone to share our triumphs.
We need one another in the hour of defeat, when with encouragement we might endure and stand again.
We need one another when we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey.
All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us.
I invite you now into a time of meditation with words from Reverend Matt Alfspaw. Place your feet upon the floor if you're comfortable doing so. Close your eyes if you wish, and breathe. Let your breath fall into a natural rhythm. Breathe with me. Know that with each breath we take in molecules of air that were breathed by every person that ever lived. Breathe with me and breathe the breath of Jesus, of Moses, of Mohammed, of the Buddha. Breathe with me and know that we are all interdependent, that the spirit of life flows through us all. Breathe with me as we come together today to do the holy work of interconnection and relationship. Breathe, a silent meditation.
That was so lovely. Thank you. Good morning. I so love the story during the time for the child in each of us. I thought to myself, that is a perfect combination of all the parts that fall into interdependence. We are dependent on so many people, places, things, and living things to be able to just feed ourselves. Imagine how we are all interconnected in living our daily lives. Not only just daily, but through the entirety of our lives. It got me to thinking about who I've known in my past, how have they affected me throughout my life, and are they still affecting me in my life now? It's kind of like the butterfly effect. When a butterfly flaps its wings in South America, does it really affect a hurricane in the Gulf Coast? The butterfly effect is fiction. Yet for me, it represents a greater concept of how each one of us really does have an impact on the world. According to the Decision Lab on the internet, quote, the butterfly effect rests on the notion that the world is deeply interconnected, such that one small occurrence can influence a much larger complex system. The effect is named after an allegory for chaos theory. It evokes the idea that a small butterfly flapping its wings could, hypothetically, cause a typhoon. Or it could not. The mind-boggling part of the butterfly effect is that it's virtually impossible to predict whether a small system will lead to chaotic behavior. Chaos cannot be predicted, which means the butterfly effect should not mean that we should understand small actions as tools for manipulating outcomes, unquote. It is a pause to think, however, and to extrapolate how each one of us is connected. Extrapolate. We are on this earth together, so we are all experiencing to some degree so much that is happening on this planet. Taiwan just had a devastating earthquake. We in California especially can relate to the fear and devastation that earthquakes bring. There is a war in the Middle East. Tens of thousands of Palestinians are being killed nearly right before our eyes on so many news stations around the world. We see it. We can't help but be affected by it. What does that do to our psyches here? It has to affect us. It just has to. Some of us may put it out of our minds. Some of us may cry and wail at the devastation. Some of us may be called to go help, like Jose Andres and the World Central Kitchen staff. We've even had some Americans fly to Ukraine to fight side by side with them in that devastating war and have died for that cause. Each event that happens, especially in these modern times, has some kind of effect on us. That is the interdependence we are currently living with. Sometimes we may not think that an event or action is having an impact on us, or we may think that we have resolved whatever fear or anger or disappointment we have experienced. But have we? In the story, when the grandmother was explaining to the child how all of the ingredients were contained, she was including every iota of being in that soup. She included the soil, the farmers, the farm workers, the seeds, the sun, the rain, and not just the vegetable ingredients that most of us see when we look into a pot of soup. It was even the truck drivers and grocery clerks. All were included. Because without all of those things, we wouldn't have the food sitting on our table. That's how I see the interdependence we all have to live in this world. And I find that fascinating and humbling. Whenever I think that I have done something all by myself, this is the reminder I need to see to know that so much had to be in place for that particular thing to happen. When I was younger, I didn't realize that some of the decisions I was making would inform what it was that was happening in my life now. That's the most fascinating part of interdependence. When I was 18, I got married. At the time, I thought I was in love. Ha. Looking back in later years, I knew psychologically that that was my way of leaving home. I had a contentious relationship with my father, and subconsciously I think I got married to leave home. At the time, women didn't have all the opportunities that they have today. I saw it as a way out of the house. Not having enough confidence to strike out on my own, I think I thought that marriage would be an acceptable alternative. Little did I know. And that one decision completely changed the course of my life. For that to come into play, I needed to be in a relationship, have him propose, have a wedding, and move into another home. It lasted for 8 years, and then I was on another trajectory. Each decision I have made in my life has taken me in a certain direction. There are moments when I've looked back and thought, what if I would have done this? Or instead I would have done that? What would my life have been like? And especially as I age, there are more years to look back on and to sometimes wonder or question what the results would have been if I had done this or that instead. What events in your lives has had a profound effect on you that would have changed your life completely if you would have taken another road? Something to think about. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines interdependence as the state of being dependent upon one another, mutual dependence. That means for something to happen for me, I have to have someone help me or somehow be involved. The opposite is true for the person who helps me. In turn, they are dependent on me being involved with them. There is a mutual agreement, said or unsaid, among these two entities, whether they are human, animal, or even mineral. We can't grow vegetables without water and sun, or even most of the time soil. The inanimate objects in our lives and our culture must be there also to aid us in achieving whatever it is we wish to achieve. I couldn't get here without my car this morning. I'm dependent on it for transportation. I don't know that it's dependent on me, except to feed it gas and oil and take care of it if something breaks. My dog and cat, however, are in an interdependent relationship with me. They depend on me to feed them and care for them, and I depend on them to love me and play with me and cuddle with me. It is a lovely relationship, and one that I rarely think about in those terms. So how are we doing these days with our interdependent relationships? To watch globally how we are interdependently relating doesn't seem to be working out too well. Even here, just in our own country, we do not seem to have interdependent relationships with each other. When we can't even speak to each other regarding opposing views without violence or angry or demeaning words, how can we have an effective interdependent relationship? I keep thinking that the solution lies deep within us. That somehow when we discover that inner peace within us, it will go out into the world and help others, resolve others, make others as peaceful as we feel within. However, that doesn't seem to be working. And I'm beginning to feel at a loss as to how to help the world, even just our country or our state or our city, to feel the balance that is out there. We have a lot of balance as it is. Most of us live our lives in a fairly balanced way. We have a routine. We have a group of people around us who love us and care for us, and we can depend on them in times of need or want. We have a functioning government mostly. At least on a day-to-day basis, it feels that way. I have the freedom to go to the store whenever I wish, to run errands, put gas in my car, go to events I want to go to. That freedom to live my life mostly as I wish. Yes, I'd love to have more money to be able to do some of the things I can't afford right now. I have shelter. I have 3 meals a day. I have friends and relatives I can depend on. I have loving pets. I have so much more than people in other nations or even in our country. And when I wish to help those who don't have what I have, I then feel like I don't know how to help them. I feel powerless to help Ukraine, to help Gaza, to help Guatemala, to help Taiwan. This is my question on interdependence. How to help those who most need the help. In that article on the Decision Lab website, they cite COVID-19 as an example of the butterfly effect. What began, they believe, in a food market in China spread across the entire globe with devastating consequences. I began to think, okay, that was a small part of the world that had global consequences. What is it that I can see as being the same, but not an infectious disease? That's when I thought about Greta Thunberg. Her mission began by sitting in front of the Swedish parliament protesting the lack of response to climate change. Her mission has now reached global proportions and has made an indelible impact on our planet. That's something we can do. We can take a small action to help someone or something, and we can help it to grow. By our passion and our mission, we can point out just one action that can be taken to help the world. When people see our passion, they most certainly, a lot of the time, feel that passion and come along to help. In our world these days, we can't just sit by anymore and think that someone else will help. To think we are separate and that our actions don't matter. I came across a story that James Baldwin included in his 50 Famous People. The story ends with these phrases. For the want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For the want of a shoe, the horse was lost. For the want of a horse, the battle was lost. For the failure of battle, the kingdom was lost. And all for the want of a horseshoe nail. Who knows what is lost when we don't take action or an idea to fruition? Who knows what might be gained by a decision? Who knows what is lost when we make that decision to not follow our hearts? Greta Thunberg is such an inspiration to me. She didn't just complain or even ignore the perils affecting our planet. She decided to sit on the ground in Sweden and make her opinions known. It is nostalgic sometimes to think back in our lives to some of the courses of action we took or didn't take and reflect on what might have been. But I think it's important to now and then reflect and see if there's something we can do to hold up our end of the interdependence of this world. There truly is so much we can do. We can be the soil or the rain or the truck driver in this interdependent world. I firmly believe when we are feeling safe inside ourselves, when we can see how lucky we are to live on this planet, to feel safe, to feel peace, to feel loved, that's when we can be confident enough to say to the world, we need to do this, and then go out and do it. Keep that hope within your heart. Let's hold up our end of the interdependence we have on this planet. Let's hold up each other. May it be so. Blessed be. And now I have a prayer called The Prayer of Purpose and Inner Fire by Tamara Lebeck. Holy One, you who dwells within and among us, let us remember the blessings of purpose that we have received throughout our lives. When the fire of our soul burned brightly, those moments of clarity, when our direction felt in line with a greater purpose, when the doors of opportunity were easy to see and even easier to open. Those moments of clarity when even strangers felt like family. We ask this day to have that clarity of spirit come forth into our lives again with the power of a mighty wind, opening the horizons of our hearts and minds to that inner fire which burns inside us all. May we be inspired this day to sing out praise of this glorious life in a language beyond the power of speech, in a language of action, so that our lives might be a beacon of justice and love, and the world might know hope through our story, our song, our steps taken. We ask this day that our inner fire burn brightly with compassion and courage and love for whatever number of days ahead are still ours to claim. These and the many prayers of our hearts, we pray now. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Joe. Please rise, embody your spirit, and join in our closing hymn, Our World is One World.